Hello Cancer and welcome to your monthly forecast. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. This reading can be used to help you navigate the next 6 to 8 weeks. As always, you can use it for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus. We'll go into all of those a little bit later in the forecast, so I hope you stick around. Let's jump into channeled messages now. These come through in dreams, and the first dream vision that I was given was basically a call to clean things up and to detoxify. Detoxify your environment, your body, and also the relationships around you, because there could be things in any given part of the aforementioned that could be causing stress or blockages, or again, just sort of like a clouded mental state. So I saw the trash or the garbage in my mind's eye, but that could mean that there are things that really are not serving your highest good. And just like we would remove that from our life, there might be something in your life too that you need to cut ties with or clear. So cleaning the physical environment, a great start, a great way to clear your mind as well. And it's also a nice way to get rid of energy that we're holding on to from past chapters in our life, from people that may have given us things, just things that we've kind of brought with us, and they start to kind of, attach to us like barnacles. So this is a great chance to hit the reset button, especially since we're still in the beginning of the new year. There could be relationships that, again, are taking too much energy or too much work, and you're not seeing the type of reciprocity or return that you would expect to. This can also represent issues like morale. This isn't always something that you can control, especially if there's a leader at school or work where they're just not doing what they need to do. You can try to call attention to it, but a lot of times that kind of environment issue is something that just helps you make a decision to go in a different path. And the most important thing, the thing where you can make the biggest impact, is to focus on diet, exercise, and self-care. Things that you can do in your own life to create stability, which is the opposite of what we see here with the Tower. So the Tower represents not just big changes, but things that need to be changed. And if you can get ahead of them, you can avoid the Tower. And that's why I featured it here. People don't always see that when the card is pulled. So I'm seeing this in advance of a month. So there's some stuff that you can clear and clean and completely avoid the Tower and basically become an agent of proactive change, if you will. Now, in the next stream, I was shown an image of this beautiful mountain, really, really tall, just this majestic thing. But I was beneath the mountain and I felt all of this energy of like almost having to hold up the weight of the mountain. And so I think one of the cards that best illustrates this is the Ten of Wands. And sometimes you can feel that weight of the world energy. And the one thing that you can really embrace whenever this comes through is that you're close to finishing something important. And if you've come this far, you can most certainly make it to the finish line. But there may be an opportunity for a vacation, for a step back, for delegation, maybe just kind of talking yourself into a place where you think, I've got this, I'm just overthinking it, right? So all of the things that I just mentioned are some of the bullets here. I think the other thing here is you're closer than you think to completing something. Just don't push yourself to the point of exhaustion, because not only is that not something that's sustainable, but it could lead to getting a cold or you just sort of taking longer than you need to do something that is within reach. One of the things that you could basically say to Spirit is, I'm ready to experience ease and grace in this task. It doesn't have to be so hard anymore. I'm releasing pain or pressure as a teacher. See if that works. I know sometimes that may sound like it's easier said than done, but just putting it out into the universe that you don't always have to work so hard to get ahead or to receive whatever abundance is coming your way, that's telling the universe that you're open to it, and that's part of manifestation. Let's look at the cards and see what else is coming through. And just a quick reminder, you can always use this for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus. Again, we're going to go into Sun, Rising, and Moon messages towards the end, so I hope you stick around. I'm going to remain quiet at this point and just focus on your messages. As we take a look at the catalyst, we have the Drowned King, and the catalyst again helps spark change, action, or movement in your life. And for some of you, it could be overcoming your own fears because we can connect water to emotions. It could be the fear of leadership as well. That drowning energy could be the kind of connecting it to the mountain and just feeling like, I don't know if I can do this. To that end, it's also about not taking one's ego so seriously. It's dissolving that a bit and really just getting into the flow of energy. This is water after all. And so once you allow yourself to flow with it, you're not going to feel overwhelmed. You're basically able to go with the currents. So there may be things in your life right now where you're just being led to move, to change, and this card is just inviting you to go with the flow. That's the main thing that I get with this. And because drowning can also feel like it's just too much and you can't take it all in, ask for help, lean on others. Also, if there's someone that isn't doing their work, you do not have to absorb that for them. And so this is freeing you to basically focus on what matters most. I would mostly connect this with King of Cups energy reversed. So sometimes being afraid of being vulnerable, sometimes taking on too much emotional energy from others if you're empathic or highly sensitive. And ultimately, it's just encouraging you to take care of you. It's really nicely connected to the first slide that I showed you in the channeled messages. Let's take a quick look at all of the cards here in the Celtic Cross and see some general trends of movement of energy. I looked at this initially and I thought, how synchronistic. It reminds me of mountains, but we actually see guides stepping in. I liked it because it said, stop and take in the view. And I was saying, if you're feeling that sense of being overwhelmed, this is how you do it. When we go back and look, we'll review it really quickly. In that first, or I guess it was actually the second slide here, it says basically, gain perspective, take breaks, you're closer than you think. All of those messages synchronistically are summed up in this card as well. And again, I was talking about that feeling of a mountain, and we've got what looks like a mountain in the distance here. So nice, just synchronicity there from spirit, and that's in your destiny space. So we're leading up to that, but these two cards are kind of helping you see where the challenges are. Okay, let's take a look at your center card. We have the Eight of Swords, which represents sometimes ambiguity or the unknown. This particular card is making peace with that. The traditional Eight of Swords is kind of hidden here. This is what it would normally look like. So we would have someone that's blindfolded and sometimes kind of penned into a corner. It can represent the things that we do in our own life sometimes to paint ourselves in a corner by, sometimes limiting ourselves with words or thoughts, and sometimes just lacking imagination or curiosity to look beyond when someone says, you can't do that. So she's starting to get curious. She's starting to ask questions. She's not afraid of what she can't see because she knows, what have I got to lose? Let's give this a shot. And I really like where this card's illustration is taking it. There still is a little bit of a remnant of this, a fear or projection from society, from parents, from the past, or from within. So let's look instead at what's possible and not, here's the other thing, like as a viewer, we can see her as she truly is, just wonderful person. She's looking at herself like with all of the sort of potential flaws or problems. So don't put that out into the universe. Really allow yourself to simply be received, and just because something isn't obvious or clear or in black and white doesn't mean that you can't create it or that it isn't possible. So she's starting to awaken to the possibilities. And that is the most important card in the whole spread, potentially, because when you have that shift, anything is possible. Crossing that center card, we have a wonderful Four of Pentacles here. The illustration just really kind of sums up why we hold on to things. Because it's safe, because it's predictable, because we don't want to be in a state of lack. And all of that makes sense, but if you hold on to something that is less than enough, that is less than you deserve, or if you allow people to take you for less than or take you for granted, then you're not really allowing yourself to grow and step into your full potential. So when you say no, when you release something that just doesn't serve your highest good, your highest worth, then you allow space for something better to come in. So the first step this month is to really look at what isn't serving your highest good and saying, I deserve more, I'm ready for more. and I'm going to be okay without this. Because you were able to get it in the first place, now you can get to the next level. And there's a moment of healing that comes after the Four of Pentacles. So this is the realization, I want or need more. Five of Pentacles, you go to the root of the problem, which sometimes is self-worth or self-confidence, which oftentimes has, a historical piece in it where someone just lacked faith or vision, said something cruel, or you had a rejection, and it kind of hits you in that self-confidence area. Once you get past these two things, then the abundance starts to just roll in. So step one is to release it. Step two is to go to the source of the problem. And if we look at the deep past, there's an encouragement from Spirit to do what you need to do and to use your voice and really not to have any apologies here. This Knight of Wands is marching to the beat of her own drum. We see a wild stallion in the background. We see her within the four wands, meaning that there is a friend, an ally, a love interest that she's calling in, and she's doing it through her sort of dance of creation, her authentic self. And that's why these two cards could kind of like slow things down if you stay in that energy too long. So that is a lack of imagination or a lack of curiosity, and this could be holding on to things. So be curious. Look beyond what's in front of you. Let go of things that are not enough. Say no to things also that are coming through and maybe taking advantage of your kindness or generosity. And instead say, this is what I stand for, this is what I want, and lead the way with your own sort of ideas and passion. Knight of Wands is a card of brainstorming, creativity, and ideation. And so you can come up with brand new things in this moment in time. And it may be something that people just don't get in the moment, but they will in retrospect. Give yourself a chance. Trust in your dream, trust in your voice, trust in your vision. And it feels like some of you need to have some freedom. She is just having a good time. No one's there. Be the way you would be when you are just with your friends or with yourself and you're comfortable. Getting comfortable in your skin is going to be really important to connecting to the star power that we see here. Now we have something coming through in the recent past that could be a new opportunity knocking on the door. Someone may come through and say, I've had you in mind for this job or this opportunity. Are you interested? Or they may come to you and say, hey, don't you know something about this? Or did you study this in school? Or, hey, didn't we have this conversation in the past? They're remembering that you're the one. You just have to now latch on to that, kind of like a baton in a relay race that's being handed to you. See your worth, accept it, and say, yeah, actually, I'll take a shot at that. Or we did have that conversation, great memory, and leap into this. This is also passion. So if you're in a new relationship, this is an auspicious symbol that can represent chemistry. It is creativity. So some of you may have more than one idea that's kind of coming through. Make sure that you're capturing it and definitely take it to the next level. And of course, we can see that flame right over the third eye. So many of you are starting to awaken your creative and your spiritual side, and this card is validating that this is exactly where you need to be. These two cards go together. Something unusual, something that has wings and potential, and something where you may have to go outside of the existing structure. I love this Hierophant because he's young and he's carefree, but what we can see with just generally reading a Hierophant card in reverse is typically we would see a Pope with two disciples on this, which represents structure and people that are gatekeepers. When I get a young card like this and it's reversed, it's saying, you're never too young or too old. You don't need someone else to open this door for you. You're going to find a way, even if that means doing it on your own. So there's an entrepreneurial and independent flair that is coming through left, right, and center for you today, Cancer. And, I kind of forgot too, we're looking at water. This is you, but you're really being asked to go into your passionate side because we have all of these wands, all of this fire energy that's coming through. And it may be, you might be feeling like you're a little bit out of your comfort zone. I think that's exactly where you need to be in order to get into the star energy. So give it a shot, okay? And if mom, dad, teacher, boss, or mentor in your life, if they don't get what you're going for, because that's the Hierophant, that's okay. There comes a point in your life where it's good to take the path less traveled. All right, as we take a look here at near future, we have the Page of Pentacles in reverse. This is basically you saying, I'm ready to do this for myself. You could be deciding, for instance, to take some savings and invest it into school or training or some sort of personal enrichment experience. This can also simply be you speaking up when something isn't enough, which we saw here with the Four of Pentacles, and saying, this is what I need to make it happen. And by the way, that's a really great negotiation tactic or technique. So if someone comes to you with an unrealistic request or expectation, but it's maybe something that you can understand and get behind, you can say, yeah, I think this is a great idea. Here's what it's going to take. Can you help with this? So basically you're taking the request and saying, yes, if you do this, or yes, if I can get this help with people, places, or resources. That way you're basically not feeling like you have to shoulder all of the weight of this energy, and you're not going to take on more than you need to, okay? So possibly moving an investment around, possibly putting yourself first and kind of like splurging on some sort of a enrichment activity, or pushing back when something doesn't make sense and saying, I need a little more help before we can do this. That's, again, a nice way of saying no. It's not no, it's this is what's necessary. So it's basically taking it into a very grounded space. And that's important because when we're looking at this card, we can see it's flipped. So something isn't level, something isn't where it should be. And you're just going to recalibrate it. You're taking the lens and helping them see how it can be made possible. For yourself, yoga, meditation, exercise can also help you get your grounding, and that's definitely a part of that message too. The great news is you're coming through with star power. This card represents you, and in tarot, it's one of the best cards in the major arcana. Why, you might ask? Because it's a cohesive card, because it's like a spotlight in the night. So people are looking to you for leadership, for organization, for inspiration, and if you happen to be in the performing arts or if you're a creative type, this is exactly the card that you want to pull, because it means that you have a great shot of getting the lead or getting attention. And to that end, if you have a business, this is a perfect card during which you want to launch or announce or somehow display a new product or service. For spiritual development, as we can see beautifully illustrated here, it's about having a really strong connection to your higher self, to the thing that inspires you most. And so you're being asked to step into the spotlight. Are you ready? That's really what Spirit is saying. It's all set up. There is a synchronicity or an opportunity that is aligning for you. Are you ready? One of the things that can help you get there a little faster is, again, making room for more. Because, there's something going on here where maybe you weren't being unnoticed before and you were wondering, is there something wrong? Not necessarily. It could just be the company in which you were sort of surrounded that just lacked the imagination to see the star power that you had. And it's so funny. I was talking about, being able to get some training. And then I also talked about the King of Cups in reverse. They're both right here. These things can also lead you to this star moment here. So the King of Cups is expression, creative expression. The Eight of Pentacles here is going to school, writing, getting some sort of training, or expanding your knowledge in some way, shape, or form. In these endeavors, you will shine. Also, someone may tap on your shoulder and say, we think you would be perfect for this. So I am definitely seeing some opportunities opening up. Are you ready for the spotlight? That's the big question this month. Let's look at the environment. We'll come back to the star as needed. In the environment, we have Eight of Pentacles. This can also be looking at the fine print. For those of you that are getting ready to sign a contract, this is looking at every single detail and making sure that you understand it. If something doesn't make sense, that you're pushing back, that you're editing, that you're doing whatever needs to be done. And in doing so, you're really setting yourself up for success. Again, if you decide to start something new or learn something, you have the capacity to really achieve mastery and bring that to the next level. And there's also kind of this beautiful alchemic or magical vibe about this. So once you get into a flow, a creative flow, things should just start to move along at their own pace and their own momentum. And it's almost like you lose track of time. That might be a challenge actually this month, is if you have certain appointments or certain obligations and there's one thing that you love, I can see you getting all consumed in that. So make sure you come up for air. I mean, how appropriate is it that that's what this is about, like not breathing? So come up for air Get the support that you need and make sure that you don't get immersed in something too much. And also, for those of you that are working on something creative, it's good to have a gut check. It's good to have someone look at something before you go so far that, if there's a mistake or something that you need to shift, that it's going to take more effort later than it would if you had people checking in all along. So come up for air, get feedback, keep your perspective, keep your other promises and obligations. And in doing so, you're definitely set up to be the star on the rise here. King of Cups, as I said earlier, in reverse also has to do with basically letting things go. For some of you, it could be letting go of people that are ignoring you, letting go of people that just don't appreciate you, letting go of your own fears and anxieties. It can also be allowing yourself to heal. Sometimes we put everyone else first and we don't realize it's not only important but essential for us to also be appreciated, supported, and make room for healing, okay? Creative outlets this month are absolutely a must. So anything that allows you to feel a sense of stress relief, creativity, and empowerment. King of Cups is coming through saying, let's do it. Could be new love coming in for sure, an offering in love. And for some of you, it comes completely out of the blue. But it's a nice thing, by the way, if it's coming through. Let's look at this outcome card, which is beautiful. Death and rebirth. It is reversed, so there's something that needs to exit or be released, but there is this tendency to try to hold on to it for some of you. There could also be something that just happens and you're like, why didn't I have a say or control? Sometimes people make up their mind or the world just spins and things happen. And now it may seem random, but it could also be aligning you for this energy, something new. Something old exits, something new enters. And as we go through the expanded forecast here, which is next, we'll look at each of these categories and see perhaps what this cycle is of release and renewal. Okay, let's begin that conversation with health, which is your mind, body, and spirit. We have a wonderful card coming through for health. The Chamber of the Violet Flame, karmic release, and then radical transformation. By the way, this is a card of release, transformation, and karma. Both judgment and death can represent a karmic energy in relationships and jobs and cycles in general. Feels like you've learned what you need to, or you're in the process of completing a karmic lesson. When the lesson is complete, you get to decide if you want to stay or if you want to go. It's very freeing, in fact. The Violet Flame, you can actually connect with Saint Germain to facilitate this healing. There's also some great meditations. I did a really old one on my channel, but you can find a bunch across YouTube and beyond. But basically, generally speaking, this energy can not only heal the heart, but even the body, and especially any sort of karmic wounds that might be there. With or without the Violet Flame, you can also just decide in this moment to prioritize, as I said earlier, your needs, whatever's lacking in your support or resources. And in doing so, you're going to foster just more stability, a firmer foundation upon which you can build a happier life. And that's really the focus this month is happiness. The Drowned King needs to come up for air, needs to do things not necessarily because they make sense on paper, but because they bring joy. If you've been procrastinating or ignoring something, the Eight of Swords simply comes through to say, let's not sweep that under the rug anymore. Let's speak up, let's ask questions, let's bring it to the forefront and diffuse the energy of fear, which is often a part of that card. There's a reminder here as I'm looking at the spread that release comes in many forms. It could be, for some of you, dance. For others of you, this could be something like music or art. It could also be a physical sport. Whatever works for you, that's the key thing. So there's a hobby for some, there's a sport for others, there's some sort of theatrical or artistic release for the rest of you. Have fun, to each their own. Let's see what else. Oh, a close brush, a close call. We have death here. It could just be like our mortality or a wake-up call. So if something went better than expected, but there's a general warning like don't do it again, listen to that. This is a wake-up call to do whatever changes you need to sort of like create in your life so that you can have longevity, happiness, and finish what you set out to finish here. Okay, so that's just the universe saying, let's think about the long run here. We have a very youthful Hierophant, right? And he's reminding you that age really is just a number. There's a big part of, like, when we look at health, you want to keep a healthy brain and a healthy body. So do things that are keeping you young here, and then of course externally. So mind, body, and spirit focuses on that. Beautiful messages across the board. And again, the main opportunity is for healing. Let's move on to wealth, which is your career, your money, your resources. And we already highlighted this, folks, just a little bit here when we were talking about not accepting less than, finding a way to advocate for what's missing, and still to seem like you're partnering or kind of like trying to make it happen. You're just highlighting the necessity, the missing piece. Guess what we've got here? Balance and a contract. So yes, you can sign a contract, but it has to be right for you. We don't want blind justice here. We don't want ignoring something that isn't feeling right. So speak up, ask questions, all the things I was talking about with this. You're coming out of the dark here, and you're starting to see things as they truly are. And I mentioned earlier that the Eight of Pentacles is the fine print. Definitely go through that, comb through that, highlight stuff, look it up, talk to someone, get a second set of eyes, research. You might come back with a better idea, or you might find a better place to go in the long run. And then once you finally decide to sign a contract, you'll feel good about it. You'll know that you've vetted out everything and that you understand what you're agreeing to. Because if part of the whole purpose this month is, basically releasing karma here, let's make sure that this next step, if we're creating karma, that it's good karma and it's something that we can really agree to and get behind. If you're looking for a job, the contract card is good. If you're looking for additional money, advancement, or support, the contract card is good. If you feel stuck, this is about looking at the contract and deciding how you can get out of it, perhaps. But let's take it step by step here. We're going to start off first with those that have a job, those that are job seeking, and those that are not focusing on employment. That could be either retirement or students. All right, if you have a job right now, there's definitely some pressure for some of you. The Drowned King, again, needing a vacation, a break, needing to come up for air. It's spelled out here on the card. And for many of you, there's a lot at stake. You put yourself out there, like you're wearing your heart on your sleeve. I can see it. But there are more resources to be had. You have to look into the contractual details. You have to kind of do a little bit of research, but I see some additional resources. Sometimes people are just gatekeeping, and that is what the Hierophant serves as. So, maybe it's about asking a different person and making sure that emotions are definitely part of getting what you want, but you don't want to make it emotional, the request. You want to basically connect with their passion and what's important to them, and it's negotiation skills that really matter the most this month. Finding a way to be persuasive and level-headed, and finding a way to tap into their passion without letting your own sort of emotions get ahead of that. So that's the nuance that I'm picking up here with that. Do you have room for growth? The first thing that you want to do is put it out there and say, this is what I need. This is what I've done. Look at me. You're offering a lot here for the equation. See if they can see it. Give them a shot. It is worth asking for something. And if they say no, it's time to look elsewhere. But you have a good shot of getting what you're seeking. For those of you that are feeling like it's time, I agree. For the rest of you just wondering, like, how am I doing? There's change on the horizon. There could be a change of boss, change of leadership. There could also be a change of role, even if you're not looking for that. There could be a merger. Anytime death or rebirth or the tower is in the outcome, it can represent necessary, imminent, and oftentimes out of your control changes. What you can control is how you feel about it. What does this mean for you? And does it still feel good for you? And if that's the case, perfect. And if not, then you've got some decisions to make with respect to that. The biggest challenge for many of you is simply being seen or heard, or maybe you just feel like you're not getting the attention that you deserve. The great news is you came through with star power this month. So change it up a bit. Speak up. You never know what's possible until you put yourself out there. And this is the time to do just that. And I think it's also important to say again what it is that you want to do. Sometimes expecting leadership or others to tune in and automatically assume that you're right for something, let's not give them that much credit or wait for something to happen. If you're interested, reach for it. We see her reaching for the star, connecting to that. So expressing interest, and not just expressing it, but putting it in writing, saying, I'm ready for this. Let's put it into my performance plan or whatever they call them. And let's talk about it at every meeting. Let's make sure that I'm tracking towards this. Is it possible? What do I need to do? How can we make sure that this happens? So hold them to account as well as yourself. And that really helps you enter into the energy of change and opportunity. There could be, for some of you, this feeling like it's too traditional. This can just sort of be like very hierarchical. It makes sense because we have the Hierophant, but government, corporate, sometimes even educational systems are very, very old and very, very tried and true. And you have this sort of vibe here where it's like, I want to try something different. You may decide that you want to break out on your own, and that's fine. You just basically have to decide how and when to make that announcement if that's something that you're interested in. Or to really lead the charge and say, I think it's time. I want to be a part of this wave of change, okay? So expressing it, getting it in writing, stepping into the spotlight, all of these things are being invited in this moment in time. And by the way, for those of you that feel like you deserve more, you do. The Four of Pentacles is showing something that's less than. This is the request and this is the reply. For some of you, it could even be double, or it's more than you imagine. So don't be afraid to ask for something that's, absolutely researched, but it's probably more than you even think. So we see definitely movement in a positive direction when it comes to wages, resources, and opportunities. All right, let's now reset this and take a look at those of you that might be job searching. I get it. It's frustrating for some of you, and it hits on a heart level, right? I think for many of you, you might be trying places where they're looking for a different age, experience, or just sort of general type that you're not. And that's okay, because this feels a little bit to me sort of, suffocating, if you will. And we're going back to that opportunity here of needing to breathe. I feel like you need a little bit more control or autonomy, a little bit more ability to make a change or make an impact. So reach out further. We actually see on this card, like a little sailboat. So go beyond your normal patterns of where you would reach out and try something unique here. The biggest thing that you're bringing to the equation is your thoughts. Like, this is a very creative card. So whether you're a scientist, an artist, or you just have really good insights like a researcher, it's about articulating this. And again, the one thing that's missing from this spread is swords. So finding a way to articulate this would be key. But this is very demonstrative. So being able to show it could be enough, whether it's through visual aids, prototyping, or just pointing to some of your previous work. That may speak even more volumes than you sort of like articulating it. Let's see what else is coming through here. People are really looking at the fine print. So for resumes or any sort of written things that you're putting out there, make sure that everything has been proofread, that you've really chosen your words wisely, and that's going to be important. Let's see what else. Some of you might be considering a career in law, or you're trying to advocate for someone, and that's also coming through here. Can you find work? You're like, Nicholas, please tell me, can I find work? Yes, but what we see here is for some of you, really making sure that you're being honest with yourself about if this is you, if this is something you really want to do. The star is telling you to lean into the authentic self. The closer you can get to that, the more these people that we're looking at here are going to say, I like what I see, I get a good vibe, and I'm ready for a change. Let's try this person instead. What we see here is someone lowballing you with a potential salary negotiation. Not everyone, but some of you. And if that happens, again, do your homework and say, this isn't the best practice, or this isn't what's standard for this role. This is where I think it should be. Let's talk. And I think that's the key thing in a negotiation. You can say close, but this is what I think and this is why I think it. How can we get closer to that number? And it's not easy to sort of have those skills out of the gate, but keep trying and don't accept less than your worth. That's the best piece of advice I can give to everybody, but particularly for those that are job seeking. And look beyond the age. Whether you think you're too young or older, they do. Your opportunity is just to show creativity, skill, ideas, and basically to convince them that you're the right one, that everything has been leading up to that. So there has to be that confidence within as well. But I think you can land a job for sure. It's just about changing up the approach a little bit. And I think the other thing is being really creative. Since we don't have any communication like verbal communication, being creative in how you dress, how you're putting the resume or the presentation out there. There's something here that you want them to really remember you by. And so make sure that you're making a splash. I think that's my advice on that. All right, for those of you that are either retired or students, AKA just not focusing on work, here's what I see. It's time to try something different. The death card and rebirth card is saying, at this point in time, if you're not pivoting and exploring things, why not? And it is never too early or too late to learn. And so I do look at both ends of the spectrum here, students and retired. And you know what? When you're retired, you might be deciding to take on something new just because you've always wanted to learn about it. Perfect timing for that. And for students, this is about not following in mom, dad, grandparent, whoever, their footsteps. It's the antithesis of the Hierophant. Maybe going to a different school, maybe skipping school and going to a trade sort of program instead, some sort of vocational program. Whatever works for you. This is about, again, your star power, your authentic connection to source. For those that are retired, we're also getting here that for many of you, it's about exploring where your heart wants to go next. And the homework right now is deciding, what else do I want to do with this next exciting chapter? By the way, retirement can come early. Some of you may have created your own business, cashed in, and you find yourself in the middle of your life, not in the sort of latter years, just sort of saying, now what? It's exciting when you have a chance to throw out the mold. And that's really what you're being invited to do right now, is throw out the mold. Whether you're at the beginning, a student end, or you're retired, it's time for a different approach. Embrace that. It's going to lead to passion, which is a nice sort of segue into love here. Romantic, platonic, friends and family. We're going to look at all of that first. Then we'll go into the different categories. So we have, sometimes it stings, the wasp spirit coming through. There could have been for some of you a loss, a separation, or dissolving of a relationship. And yeah, it stings, especially when you don't get to have a say in it. Even when you do, it hurts, right? No matter how you slice it, whenever you pull this card, it's definitely about giving yourself time to heal and also doing what's right for your heart. So sometimes you have to do something that hurts in order to heal. And sometimes someone else has to do that, and it's for the best. And it's for your own growth as well. So I'm just acknowledging that some of you had to separate or walk away or deal with a loss. And a lot of this month is about recalibration for you. And again, we're leaning back into those two cards, the Drowned King and the King of Cups in reverse. Okay, let's take a look at this on 3 different levels. First, beginning with those that are in a relationship. This can represent next level energy. So can this. In the reverse state, it's hopefully an end to stagnation, beginning something new. So you may have decided to take a plunge and get married or adopt a kid or move in together or do something exciting together. The star card energy is really, really good. Some of you are also mourning the loss of what you had, even if it wasn't what you wanted. Isn't that weird how we do that sometimes? And it's really just about easing into change. I think that's the big thing here. So for the newer relationships where, again, it's long-term, but maybe you're in this new category, just go with the flow. Whether you're a new parent or you just moved in or you've gotten married, give it time to settle a bit, okay? What I like about this is there is passion. There is still a spark. There is still love. It's just about seeing it through a different lens. The challenges in relationships. One partner feels like they're putting in more work and not getting recognized for it. Feels like that's something that I see a lot. Another partner may be feeling, like they're just stuck, or that age has caught up with them all of a sudden and they have this sort of wake-up call. mortality. And again, that they may be young, but it could be the loss of a loved one, like a parent or a sibling. And it's sort of like, I want to make the most of the years that I have left, however many it might be. So we definitely see a recalibrating moment for some, an overworking energy for others. And then some of you are just in the throes of work. Like there's a lot going on, or you're throwing yourself into a task, and it's about what? Coming up for air and saying, I love you, saying, I see you, evening out the exchange a little bit so that they can relax. It feels pretty manageable overall, but those are the key challenges. Some of you are ending a relationship, or the partner has gone. So they, this could actually, we can read it at face value. Someone passed away. And that in and of itself is what we got with the stinging energy here. And all you have to do is take care of yourself in the situation. What is good right now is it feels like you can actually get a lot of work done on healing. This is, again, not that you need permission from me or the cards, but they're giving you permission here to focus on self-care, self-needs, and expanding and doing things in your life that you want in this moment in time. This is freeing you up in that case. Changing the category to those that are looking for love. Can you find it? Absolutely. You could actually find a soulmate here. We already saw that here, that once you do the karmic healing, you might actually bring in someone else from a past life that's been waiting for you to kind of do that soul work. And that's like the reward here. Very similar energy since we have King of Cups. He's wearing a little Piscean pendant there, so there could be a Pisces coming into your life. It's really cool that we see the starfish here, because whatever you lost, you can regain here. And this is true. So again, for those that might be, in love and separating from it, we also see that energy of healing. And for those that are looking for love after loss, we see that as well. So this is a time for you to get something even greater than you expected. So I mention this often when you're when you're manifesting. You meditate to manifest, but in manifestation, you always want to hold out to be pleasantly surprised by spirit. Sometimes spirit knows that you're deserving of, capable of, and ready for something bigger than you thought possible. And the only thing you have to do is overcome doubt and say, wow, I didn't expect it, but I certainly embrace it. So soulmate energy coming through for some of you, very similar but not identical to you, possibly a water sign as well. We see passion. What we do see also for both of you, though, is this tug of war. It feels like you're being pulled in a couple of directions, and 8 and 4 don't quite add up to 10. So there's something that needs to give in what's going on your plate. There's too many things pulling at you. So be discerning, make some room for love if you think you're ready for love. Okay? For those that are really not focusing on relationships right now, you're single and happy, or you're just in a different part of your life. First of all, so much work can be done, so much progress can be made right now. So you basically are set up here to make a splash. So if you're younger and really just focused on getting ahead in your career, yes, I can see that. If you're middle of your life to latter years, this is about learning something new, really sinking your teeth into something that you care about, writing or reading a book or putting something into writing also, and then creative expression as well. And that's pretty much everything that I see here. Let's now move on to destiny. Okay, it's for everybody. And we talked about it at the beginning, but we're underlining it again. Stop. Take in the view. Take stock of all of the good stuff, all of the challenges. See it all as adding up to you in this moment and setting you up for a portal. This death card is so fantastic because yes, we see the specter of Azrael here, but we see beyond the angel of death, and we see that it is just a portal for something new. And if you look at these two cards together, very different decks, but we can see that portal. So this is basically the other end. So this is the opportunity, and this is what's awaiting you, something beautiful, something amazing. You just have to believe. You just have to hold out for that. So take a moment to maybe even assess where the opportunity may exist. Because if you don't slow down for a second, you could miss that moment. I talk about this in the Three of Wands all the time. Slow down and see your ships coming in. We even see the ship here in the King of Cups. So he's possibly gone not just out to the shore, but into the water to meet that opportunity. Okay, let's move on to your sun, rising, and moon sign messages and see what Spirit has to say. Sun, rising, and moon. As we take a look here at the sun sign, we have the beautiful Two of Wands. And what I love about this is it really connects nicely with this. I talked about being present, stopping, taking in the view. She's doing that. She's looking out the window. She is mapping out and dreaming of the next destination, and she's figuring out how to make it happen. This is one step away from the Three of Wands. And the Three of Wands, again, is things are happening. Ships are coming in. So clarity in your desires, in your sort of goals, this is going to be so important. If you're not clear, how can you expect other people to intuit what you want? How can you expect the universe to create those synchronicities and opportunities for you? So slow down long enough to figure out what it is that you want. And in doing so, you're going to stumble upon it faster. It's not stumble upon it. You're going to manifest it faster. Okay, beautiful energy here. And if you can see it and if you can feel it, you can bring it into your life and you can bring it to the finish line. Some of you are just overdue for a trip and you might be planning that. And that's exciting as well. Rising. This is about exploring all the options. I talked about researching, getting second opinions. For some of you, it's really just getting in touch with the creative muse within, which is the King of Cups as well, and which is also the energy of that drowned king. So basically connect to your creativity, to your spiritual desires and inclinations, and allow yourself to do something different. This can also be an inquisitive card. What if ... this happens? How about that? Maybe I can do this. It's allowing yourself to draw and imagine outside of the lines. And that can be a really sort of engaging energy. And it's a complementary energy when it comes to the Two of Wands. You have to imagine something that hasn't been. Now, if you are too long into the Seven of Cups, it can just kind of create, like this feeling of being overwhelmed. So dream a bit, explore a bit, and then close your eyes and think, what is it that I feel the closest connection to, and just go for that. This is a chance also to develop your intuition by following your heart. As we move on to the moon sign, thank goodness we have a swords card coming through, the Ace of Swords. Here's the thing. I love that she is in the throes of meditation. I love how deep some of these thoughts are going. However, what's going on here is equivalent to the math meme that you'll see around me. It's like, what about this? What about that? Almost a little bit of what I would have just said with the Seven of Cups. And we don't want her to be stuck in this math meme forever. We want her to be able to get back into the energy of what am I going to do? So do a little bit of research, consider things. This is a nice kind of like continuation of what we just talked about. And then bring it into existence. She's a little too pensive here. And I think the main thing here is to then say, let's do this. Don't overthink. Take necessary action. Speak it into existence. Because what's here in your heart and here in your head needs to somehow get out. And we also saw that here, putting it into writing. We saw it here, putting it into a legitimate contract as well. This is a great time to take action. Your ability to edit, speak, communicate, and articulate things are great. Don't make it overcomplicated. We don't want all those sort of things that we just saw in the math meme to confuse people. Use words that they understand. Keep it simple. That's the main thing to focus on. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at the final question for today. This is anything that you need a little bit of additional insight on. Let's shuffle the cards and see what Spirit has to say. You received the Seven of Wands, and this is such a lovely card to come through for the final question. This is saying, in this moment in time, you can handle anything that comes your way. Here's the advice, though. Take a deep breath. Don't let people's judgments or energy or drama get to you. We can see her pushing out solar plexus and heart space energy and saying, I've got this. I know who I am. I'm not going to let this around me kind of take me out of my cool, calm, and collected moment. This is also a call to work smarter, not necessarily burn yourself out, not burn the candle at both ends. So she's willing to say no to some things so she can say yes to others. Discernment and boundaries and a decisive energy that's cool, calm, and collected. We can also connect this to the Two of Wands because she's done the work here to know if it aligns with her higher purpose or not. And if it doesn't, she pushes back a bit. She's kind of within this bubble of energy that we can also imagine that the High Priestess has. So she's always, again, kind of reflecting on how does this work with what I had intended or what I'm trying to do. So staying grounded in purpose, pushing back on unnecessary things, and really staying cool, calm, and collected. As a yes or no, it's a yes, comma, but there's probably a better or smarter way to do this. So slow down for a moment and make sure that you're not working too hard, that you're not doing too much. And once you have kind of answered those questions, everything will come into focus. All right, folks, that brings this reading to a close. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It's 100% free. It helps the channel, and I appreciate it. You can also follow me across social media. It's always at Nicholas Ashbaugh on all major platforms. And just a reminder that I do not offer any private readings, so if anyone ever tries to message you or ask for something in DMs, you know that that is not me. All right, thank you so much, Cancer, for your love, your support. I'll see you soon. In the meantime, I'm going to take this little guy for a walk. All right, bye-bye.